Hey, it's Todd Lyons, Esquire from 1460 ESPN Yakima. This is the first episode of Rock Jock Talk here on ESPN in Yakima, and I'm very happy to have as our first inaugural guest Mr. Jon Wells. Jon is a publisher of the Grand Salami magazine, which you will see when you go to Safeco Field for sale out there. I've been a big fan of his magazine for a long time. He also published a book entitled Shipwrecked a couple of years ago, Jon, when that came out?
It was actually 4 years.
4 years ago.
2012.
It's called A People's History of the Seattle Mariners, and if you've been a fan for any time at all, certainly the last 15 years when they've made the playoffs 0 times, you know that there isn't much history to be written about, and we'll get into more of that here in a sec, Jon, but you're coming through town on a wine tasting tour, correct?
Yeah, we're going out to Walla Walla. I'm actually starting a new business out there, a little tour company. Okay. We're going to do wine tours with a limo, and you know, it's kind of needed out there. Right on.
Well, to prove, I've gotten to know Jon via social media. It's kind of how things work these days, but I wanted to show this off just to show him that I've known of him a lot longer than he's known of me. Jon, this is my personal collection of Grand Salami magazines. My earliest was your 3rd year publishing, David Segui, and some chick's phone number who that obviously didn't work out for me too well. But even as far as you know, this last year, there's Kyle Seager. But Jon puts this together, and if you're a baseball fan that likes to hear the unvarnished truth about your club, make sure you check out the Grand Salami when you get to the Mariner games. And dovetailing off that, the unvarnished truth, Jon, is what your book was about. The question that he begs is, how in the hell can a team that had 3 first ballot Hall of Fame players not even make the playoffs?
Well, I mean, you know, it's really all about, they never made a World Series.
Never made a series. They did make the playoffs.
You know, they made the playoffs. You know, they had Randy Johnson and Ken Griffey Jr. and Alex Rodriguez all in their prime, and basically bad management. Just really management that was more concerned about money and fearful of losing money. I mean, they make the playoffs for the first time. They get it in '95, and it was an incredible run. And you know, it was up against the backdrop of the team possibly leaving town if it didn't get a stadium, and making the playoffs that year and beating the Yankees in the first round. You know, was the impetus for getting the deal done in Olympia and getting Safeco Field. But not some 51 days after the final out of the Mariners' last game of the season against Cleveland in the ALCS. They traded Tino Martinez. They traded one of their best players, who just hit 333 home runs, knocked in 111 runs, and they just basically cried poor. I mean, Tino Martinez was going to make $4 million maybe in arbitration that year.
Which sounds like nothing in today's
And, you know, as I detail in the book, it's basically like the Mariners just basically said, oh, there's no way we could possibly afford to pay him. And now, they had tons of extra money from all the people that all of a sudden started coming to the Mariner games in the last 2 months of 1995. In the last couple months, there were a lot of sellouts. And, you know, but yet they traded Tino Martinez, and they basically, didn't have any leverage. They basically told everybody in baseball, "Yeah, we got to trade this guy. You know, well, what can you give us?" And
Sterling Hitchcock,
and Russ Davis, and as I'm sure you know, Yankees prospects are overhyped because they're Yankees prospects.
Well, we just saw Jesus Montero get cut the other day. We'll stop right there for now. Part 2 here in just a sec. We're going to fast forward. Go through a couple of really bad general management regimes since 1995, but there's a new sheriff in town. We'll take one here, and we'll get Jon's take on what he sees moving forward for the 2016 Seattle Mariners season.